Hey, it's Joe Amoia, the Ambassador for Love. I got an email yesterday from Nadia, one of the members of our community, who was asking how to deal with that little voice in your head. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to actually read her email to you. Joe, I find getting up and doing things is a lot of fun and it makes me feel great. But I find it's the mental monkey chatter in my head that causes me grief. I'd like to know how to let the thoughts just pass by without resisting or reacting to them, because I know what you resist persists. It's the monkey chatter that keeps me down. Your thoughts would be appreciated. Well, first of all, Nadia, I know you've done some work, because just the fact that you're using monkey chatter makes me believe that you've done some personal growth and development work, which is absolutely awesome. And so for those of you who haven't done the work, what Nadia is referring to is that little voice in your head. You know what I'm talking about. It's that when you're interested in a guy and he's not calling and just like, what did I do? Or he's not showing you the respect you deserve. He's just showing you that he's only interested in you for one thing, but you can't get rid of him. You know, one of the things I see so often from the members of our community is that they allow these guys to get away with shit that's insane. You know, you deserve so much more. And very often it's the reason why you let it go on that's causing your struggles. And it always comes down to that little voice. And so what I mean by that is that within all of us, there are these things called unconscious beliefs. And so if you believe that men are jerks, you're actually going to find evidence. Your brain is like Google. It's going to search for evidence. It's going to look for the proof that guys are jerks. And you'll actually go out and attract guys. No matter how much that doesn't make sense, because logically go, I don't want that. I deserve better. But in your mind, you're trained to go out and find that. So then your mind will go, see, told you, they're all jerks. So what you need to do is you need to recognize that there is this little voice, and it's not really you. It really comes from another place. And I don't mean like another universe. I mean another place within us. See, there's this part of us called the ego. And the ego is designed to get its needs met. And so what happens is the reason we date jerks or we sleep with a guy too soon is because we think we need to do this. Because if we don't do it, we're not going to get the result. And it's all the ego. It's all the mind. Okay? But it very rarely leads to the results you want. So what I found is because every single human being has this desire. This is one of the reasons why guys just disappear. Is because in their mind, their ego, their fears, whatever comes up for them, it just triggers something in their brain where they just take off. So what I want you to realize is that happens has got nothing to do with you. But what I want to talk about is how to deal with that monkey chatter, that little voice in your head, you know, the one that drives you crazy. How you know it's the little voice is that when you know better in your gut, but you still have a hard time. You're in a relationship where you know you're not getting the love you deserve. You know that the guy isn't showing up and being the man you really want consistently, but yet you stay. Yet you keep taking it on. You blame yourself and you think you have to do everything to make the relationship work. See, that's the little voice. That's the fear. Because inside of you is a part that if I don't do it here, I'm never going to get what I really want. So that's the little voice. So let's talk about that. I'm going to give you 3 suggestions, 3 tips to actually deal with that little voice. Because if you learn to meet it head on and simply look at it for what it is, then you can deal with it, and then you can make better, smarter choices and healthier decisions. The problem for most of us is we're not even aware of it. We go, well, that's just the way it is. You know, that's the way I feel. You know, that's the way I am. We create all these excuses which keep us from really looking at what's really going on. I always say it's kind of like, you ever see someone who's overweight and they really struggle and they say, well, I'm like this because it's my parents' fault, or you know, it's just all the crap. It's McDonald's fault. They blame everybody and everything. And I'm not saying that's not true to them. They really believe that. But that little voice in their head is keeping them from getting to the real cause of the problem. And the real cause is not eating well and not exercising regularly. And maybe there's a little voice in there that says, you know what, but I really love food. And if I give that up, I'm going to lose a lot of joy from my life. Or they say, you know what, that little voice says, I don't really like it to exercise. It's not enjoyable for me. So who's going to sign up for something that they don't enjoy? See, it's this little voice that's completely messing up our lives and our relationships. So the best way to deal with it is these 3 things. And the first thing you want to do is you just want to notice it. You know, as Nadia said, what you resist persists. See, when things are going on in your relationship that you don't like, you resist it. You don't want it to be that way. And so the fact that you're resisting it is giving it more focus, giving it more attention, and it actually gets stronger and gets bigger. You know, as the adage says, what you resist persists. So you don't want to resist the little voice. You don't want to fight it. See, resisting the little voice is a lot like running in quicksand or trying to swim against the current. It's exhausting. And even if you get somewhere, you're going to slowly slide back. So the biggest thing, step number one, is you simply want to notice it. And the best way to do that is go, that's interesting. Where'd that come from? And that's it. That's all you want to do. Because the fact that you say, I shouldn't believe that, or I don't want it to be that way, that creates the initial resistance. And you can never get anywhere going that route. So after you just notice it, the second thing you want to do is you want to explore. You want to say, whose voice is this? You know, is it really mine? You know, there's an adage in the spiritual growth world where that is not your true self, that is your mind, that is your ego, it's your false self, your false identity. So simply the fact that you step out and observe it removes you from the equation. And so a lot of times when we explore and we really see that this isn't really my belief, you know, let's use the belief that, you know, the little voice, say all men are jerks. Now, I'm not saying you haven't had the experience of that, but the statement, all men are jerks, is that really reasonable? Is it realistic? Every man walking the planet is a jerk? You know, and again, it's not to take away from your experiences, but you want to realize that you can't make a blanket statement like that. So the fact that you step out and say, well, whose voice is this? And what you say, it's your girlfriend's, it's your parents', it's society's, it's the movies, it's the entertainment world, it's music. And you're going to hear, oh, you know what? I've heard that over and over and over for so long. And yeah, I've had some bad experiences with a handful of guys. But the reality is, it's not really my belief. It's stuff that I heard and I took it on as my own. And once you do that, once you explore it, 99.9% of the time, you're going to say, it's not even yours. And that leads you to the third part. That's when you get to decide what you want to do. And I'll give you a perfect example. Growing up, I grew up in a very traditional Italian family with a lot of traditional beliefs. And my mother, she wasn't like off the boat, but she had a lot of those values. And she believed that a woman who drank beer out of a bottle had no class. And so I grew up with that belief. And for a long time, I truly believed that. And then one day I was out in college, I was with some friends of mine. I had a lot of friends who were girls, and they were drinking beer with a bottle. And I remember saying, wait a minute. They're drinking beer out of a bottle. They're my friends. They've got a lot of class. They're great women. Why do I believe that? And I looked at it and go, wait a minute. What a bunch of shit. This is simply somebody else's belief that I took on as my own. And what you have to realize about these beliefs, about these little voice, it's stuff that we simply take on throughout our lives. And what we see, hear, and experience over and over again, we take to own as if it's the truth. And I'm not saying that sometimes it is true, but most of the time that little voice isn't true. It's simply our fear. It's our unconditional, unconscious beliefs, which we got from somewhere else. So if that little voice is driving you crazy and it's causing you to do things which don't lead you to the results you really want, you want to step back and you want to start exploring. And one of the best ways to do that is you want to simply look at the results you're getting in a certain area of your life. In this instance, let's talk about your relationships. And you want to say, what do I consistently see? What do I consistently experience? And then you want to backtrack and look at, what are my beliefs around that? What is that little voice always telling me? And where is that little voice in alignment with what I'm seeing? Because I guarantee you, if you're seeing results consistently, even if they're in an unwanted way, that little voice is somewhere in alignment with that. Is you believe that that's how things are or should be unconsciously. Again, this has nothing to do with logic. It has to do with unconscious emotional beliefs. And so by stepping out and exploring that, you then open the door to find the answers you're really looking for. So I'm going to give you a little homework assignment. I know we got the holidays coming up, but it's something that's going to really help you to start exploring it and going a little deeper and getting to the real source of what's really going on for you. So I want you to see, where is it that you've got this little voice? And where is it working against you? Is it that you jump into relationships too soon? You feel you have to do something. You feel you have to make the relationship work. You have to do everything. It's all on you. Or do you feel that what, you don't care? You keep telling yourself, but you don't care. It doesn't really matter. Whatever it is for you, simply notice it, get real with it, and follow these 3 steps. You might have to go back and watch this again. You might go back and actually write this down and really start exploring again, without judgment. You might find some stuff and go, oh wow, that's kind of painful, but don't judge it. Just simply notice, where did it come from? You weren't born that way. Okay, you weren't born with all this shit in your head. It just simply got put in by living life. And so I don't care how much you put up vision boards and you say affirmations. If you don't get to what's really going on the inside, none of that stuff is going to work. Trust me, I've done that stuff for years. And I was frustrated when I finally learned that, there's something else that needs to be addressed first. And so that's why, we talk about this. That's why we bring it to the table, because it's not about just getting a guy. It's about doing the things and being the person that the right guy is going to commit his life to. And so when you work on this stuff and you get it all out of the way and you be that person, that's when the right guy shows up. I know I throw a lot at you today. You might want to go back and watch this 2 or 3 more times, because it's really, really vital. As always, I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you next time. God bless.